Finally interlude. Getting it right. Eyes on you.
A dance, Tracy grumbled. Whose idea was that anyway? And announcing it at the last minute. How did he expect us to prepare for that just one day?
The soothing background music at the restaurant at which she and Twilight sat did nothing to calm her nerves. She'd been on edge ever since the announcement a few hours prior. Despite her attempts to hide this by acting indignant, it seemed like Twilight was beginning to notice.
Call me silly, but after everything we've just been through, I don't think preparing for our dance is going to be that much of a problem,
said Twilight, tilting her head with a smile.
We just need dresses and maybe a main stylist, right?
Well, yes, Trixie huffed. Twilight cracked a questioning frown. Unless there's something you're not telling me.
No, Trixie is an excellent dancer,
said Trixie immediately. Okay, said Twilight, raising a brow. Trixie's cheeks flushed and she cast her eyes to one side.
I just meant there's nothing wrong. I'm not worried about the dance.
Twilight didn't seem very convinced.
Really? Because if you don't want to go, we're going, Twilight, Trixie affirmed. Everybody will be expecting us to make an appearance. If we don't show up, it'll just mean more attention for Flair and the others.
I guess so, Twilight granted, summing up another faint smile. I'm sorry, I do want to go with you. I just thought maybe you didn't want to go, from what you were saying, I mean. Trixie shook her head and sighed. To be honest, she didn't want to go. Probably be very boring anyway. Not to mention her dancing skills were a little rusty. She much rather spend the evening at the hotel with Twilight, maybe getting an early night ready for the following day. But still, what she said was true. They had to go, they didn't want to be overshadowed by the others.
I'll be fine, she huffed. I'm only complaining because I don't want to get the closing ceremony over and done with, so I can know for sure that we've beaten Flair. All this waiting is going to make me more anxious.
Twilight nodded along with her words. I know what you mean, she said, but I don't think we need to worry. I have a good feeling. Trixie frowned at the table.
Yes, me too.
Their first course arrived soon after, and they steadily made their way through it in silence. It was quite lovely and very generous of those organizing the display to offer them a free meal here. But Twilight found it difficult to enjoy it completely, what with the obvious unease of the mayor across from her. But ever wondered where Trixie's mood really had to do with the dance at all? She imagined that Trixie would be a wonderful dancer, and the proud showmare would easily jump at the chance to get a ballroom full of attention to herself. So maybe it was the prospect of going with Twilight. She's probably still distracted thinking about it, Twilight mused, thinking back to yesterday's confession, and the mirror that went along with it. It was good, of course, that Trixie was taking her seriously. There was no doubt in Twilight's mind that she was. But she didn't want her partner to get stressed over it. Twilight swallowed her mouthful of salad and looked across the table at Trixie, who was still staring at her plate, chewing idly.
What are you thinking about?
Twilight asked, feeling terribly redundant. Trixie looked up and conveyed a deliberate look. A moment passed before Twilight frowned and nodded slowly.
Trixie, I say you didn't have to say anything, but,
she added, foreseeing any argument.
If you want to, then I'll wait for you. Just don't rush yourself.
Trixie blinked a couple of times, brushed her obvious embarrassment off of an eye roll, but she didn't look like she managed to convince herself.
I won't, she muttered. I mean, I wasn't. I wasn't even thinking about that anyway.
Oh, said Twilight, dropping her eyes to the table again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just forget I said anything. Then.
Trixie said abruptly, flashing her playful smile that said she wasn't upset at all.
Let's just talk about something else, okay?
Twilight nodded emphatically.
Yes.
She said, straightening herself into a mock business-like pose.
Ahem. Let's.
Trixie managed a reassuring smirk. The two were soon caught up in conversation about the heir's performances. Hilbert steering clear of flares, which is obviously dangerous ground. He stared a couple of laughs over the remainder of lunch and dinner as well. During the time between the two meals, Twilight was absorbed in a book she checked out of the library. Trixie busied herself with whatever she could do to find to do so. They agreed to do their shopping for the dance in the morning, so for the most part, the rest of the day was very relaxed and blissfully unthoughtful, for Twilight at least. Trixie lay awake on her couch, staring blankly up at the starry parent skating. She wasn't very sure what time it was. Probably sometime around midnight, she had to guess. She wasn't feeling very sleepy in the slightest. It was far from a good thing. Worrying about the dance had given her something to keep her mind busy all afternoon. But by now, Twilight's reassurances had gotten to her, dragged those worries from her mind, leaving her with only two prominent concerns. The first was winning the display, which she had no control over. The second was finding an answer for the enigma that was Twilight, which she had complete control over. At least, she knew she should have had control over it, and that was just making it even more frustrating.
Why didn't I just say something then and there? Trixie cursed herself. It would have made so much more sense. Would have been so much easier if I just... Ugh, but I didn't. Now here I am, stressing over it.
She rolled over onto her side and glared at the cow's kilo. In reality, she knew she hadn't said anything right away because she had been stunned by Twilight's confession. Not that she had been blind to the way her friend felt, only to the extent she felt it. It was immediately overwhelming and made Trixie feel very uneasy. The question rang again through her mind.
What am I supposed to say?
Twilight really had said everything there was to be said when she hooked over the mirror. Next to that, anything Trixie herself said to say now would just be completely redundant. But she couldn't go back on her word, say nothing either. Her pride prevented that. Then again, it was technically her pride that was keeping her from thinking about it in the first place.
I hate this,
she told herself, setting her eyes tight and trying to force herself to sleep.
Thinking is overrated.
Try not to think about anything, worked for all of 2 seconds, after she let out exasperated fluff and rolled over again, facing Twilight's bed. She opened her eyes and gazed across the dimly moonlit room at the slumbering mare. The blankets over Twilight's form rose and fell steadily over her silent breathing. Trixie couldn't help but stare.
Why is this so hard? She wondered. I'm the great and powerful Trixie! I don't shy away from things like this. Not that I've ever been in a situation like this.
She rolled to the couch and strode over to the bedside, not quite sure what she was hoping to achieve. She knelt down there, a breath away from Twilight's face, and studied it carefully. The pretty lavender unicorn didn't seem to be having any trouble sleeping. In fact, there was a tiny smile on her lips, probably telling of good dreams playing in her head. Honestly, though, it was hard to imagine a bad night's sleep in a bed like that.
You're far too understanding, Twilight Sparkle, Trixie told the Sleeping Beauty. How can you be so relaxed in the face of something like this? Unless you already know.
Trixie's mind flashed for her. There was a long, thoughtful pause before she shook herself in a quiet huff.
Ugh, what am I doing? This must look really creepy.
She got to her hopes and turned to make her way back to the couch, determined to get to sleep and try to sell this in the morning. She might be able to think clearly. At this point during the notably restless night, Trixie did manage to doze off, but she got far from a good night's sleep. When you get to see Twilight knelt on the bed, smiling at her over the top of the book, did wonders to help her mood, though. After the two had breakfast and cleaned themselves up, it came time to get down to today's business. Namely, finding an attire for the dance that evening. In their somewhat limited time frame, thanks to Trixie's oversleeping. As far as the section, they split up to each find their own outfit, agreed to meet back at the hotel for a late lunch before dressing up. But there lay Trixie's next dilemma.
What do I wear? No, wait!
Trixie let it get a better look at the purple, sparkling dress offered by the young stallion, who was the store assistant. It was half-hewn of a particularly soft fabric, so sleek and thin that it almost looked transparent. It had stars down the side, leading all the way down past the flank into a long, clean tail. It smelled faintly of cinnamon.
No, too obvious,
said Trixie, brushing the dress aside and turning to look for something more appropriate. The store assistant groaned and collapsed in a heap on the floor. Trixie rolled her eyes.
Oh, get up, drama queen! We've been only through 30 dresses.
Is there a problem here? Came a male voice from behind. Spinning in place, Trixie came face to face with a stallion who could only be the store's manager.
Well, it's about time you showed up, Trixie scolded him. Yes, there's a problem. Trixie requires a dress worthy of her greatness and power, and so far there has been nothing but tolerable.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bowtie, pleaded the assistant. I'm trying my best. The stallion blinked in disappointment for a moment, before brushing it itself and turning to quirk a brow at Trixie.
Who is Trixie? He asked.
Trixie is Trixie, obviously, said Trixie Charlie. And, as Trixie just said, she is looking for her garment to impress her date at the dance tonight.
Really? Well, you'll be the first one today,
sighed the owner. He looked at her up and down as if sizing her up.
What exactly are you looking for? In what way are you hoping to impress your date?
Trixie rolled her eyes again at the owner's thickness.
I don't know. Impress her. As in, make a lasting impression. Something she won't forget.
A mare, is it? Said the owner. And does this mare have a favorite color? A favorite fabric, perhaps?
Trixie opened her mouth to throw back another annoyed comment, only to catch herself halfway.
Twilight favorite color? Trixie doesn't know.
She admitted.
Favorite pattern, then?
The owner suggested.
Favorite scent? Does she prefer long-tailed dresses or short? Do you think she appreciates something depicting her cutie mark?
Trixie gave the floor a lopsided frown. The owner breathed a long, tired sigh.
Whew. Alright, maybe you should tell me what she does like. Is there a particular something that makes her happy? A food, a dime a day.
Trixie is thinking!
She snapped, cutting him off. In the silence that follows, he proceeded to place a hoof on her chin and thought.
What does Twilight like?
Trixie asked herself.
What makes her smile?
Naturally, the first thing to spring to mind was Twilight's gift 2 days prior. And I started thinking about the things that made me smile. And the first thing that came to mind was you. The fresh memory brought warm feelings with it. A smile crept onto Trixie's face. The truth, she never really stopped thinking about it. Somehow, Twilight's sparkle had found a way to flatter her so utterly and completely she felt almost humbled.
Me? I make her smile,
said Trixie distractedly, even as the memory continued to play through her head.
You don't have to say anything. Yes, I do,
Trixie interrupted.
I just need some time to think about it. Just wait, okay?
Trixie frowned beside herself.
Is there really much to think about?
She wondered.
Me's,
said the stone owner.
That one,
said Trixie, pointing to the dress on display in a window nearby. It wasn't so much a proper dress. It was a very simple, revealing, saddle-keep combo. Well, it was perfect.
That one?
The owner repeated, raising a brow.
Really? You've been here all this time, and now you want the one in the window?
Trixie, you will have that one,
Trixie said firmly, shooing him a glare. He raised his toe suspensively before trotting over to remove said dress from the mannequin, on which it rested.
Yes, a fine choice, miss. All right then, that'll be 40 beads.
Trixie blinked at the owner as he carefully flung the garment over his back and turned to smile at her.
You expect Trixie to pay for it?
Well, yes,
said the owner, sounding puzzled.
I have to make a living, you know.
Do you even know who Trixie is?
She asked indignantly. The owner looked her up and down again before shaking his head.
Actually, no. I've never heard of you.
Trixie turned at him, but smirked all the same.
So clueless,
she said, starting towards the door.
Follow Trixie.
As he pushed Pat open the door, which led onto the street, she looked back over her shoulder. Once they were both outside, Trixie glanced about. As usual, there were dozens of ponies milling up and down the street, in and out of stores. Wasting no time, she magically grabbed a wooden crate in front of the stack and turned to the dress store's entrance, and dragged it behind the door. Then, to another quizzical look from the owner, she hopped up to stuck her nose up and cleared her throat.
Ahem. Attention, main heights of visitors from lands far away, she called out, drawing the eyes of many passers-by. The great and powerful Trixie hereby declares this store as her favorite in all the city. Come and see the most fantastic designs this side of Canterlot.
Well, what are you doing? Hissed the owner. Get down from...
He broke off as those watching the spectacle began to murmur amongst themselves. Casting intrigued glances towards the store. Then one by one, ponies started making their way over, past the two of them into the store. The first couple were followed by a trio, then another. Bowtie's jaw dropped. Clearly, never having seen so many customers at once, Trixie smirked beside herself.
Well, she said slyly, 40 bits, was it?
A moment's silence, during which 4 more wealthy-looking ponies trotted inside. Then the stallion idly hopped over the dress.
It's yours,
he mumbled.
Thank you,
said Trixie with finality, taking her magic and hopping down from her box. Without a backwards glance, she started down the street. Behind her, she could hear Bowtie reveling his new customer base.
Welcome, welcome. Please have a look around. Oh yes, Trixie and I go way back.
She let out a self-satisfied chuckle. There was something very fulfilling about how they actually worked for once. After waiting to display, of course, she'd probably be able to do that just about anywhere and get away with it.
Well, that's the rest done in any case,
she thought to herself, packing into her saddlebags.
Now, I still have a few hours before I need to meet Twilight. Just one last thing I need to take care of.
A sudden self-awareness washed over her. She found herself picking up the pace. She hoped a few hours would be enough time. Twilight Sparkle was a very happy mare indeed. Not only had the boutique had the perfect dress for her on special offer, but the owner had been kind enough to throw in a pair of saddlebags, a couple of accessories, and a coupon to use at the main salon across the street, which she was saving for later that afternoon. And that wasn't enough. Every other pony she passed in the street would offer a smile or a wave, which did wonders for her already excellent mood. Most importantly of all, she was going to have a dance with Trixie. She let out a quiet giggle as she trotted down the street. She never before understood the meaning of giddy as a school filly, never had been one for dates herself at such a young age, but now she had a pretty good idea. There was just one small problem, though. It was enough to make her smile waver. Twilight couldn't dance.
I can't dance, and I can't walk.
Despite her upbringing in Camelot, she never really attended a lot of fancy parties. Her parents weren't long to drag her on to such things, knowing that she'd be bored stiffly out of books, so they usually left her with a full serve if they ever had to attend one. And Cadance probably didn't have enough time to teach her that, and heavens forbid Shining Armor did. Speaking of which, you'd think this paragraph would have mentioned those two. She never seemed to point taking the time to learn her skill on her own either. It was a physical thing, which required finesse and dexterity. Twilight was the first to admit she was a kind of clumsy pony when it came to that sort of thing. Most preferred to use her magic for anything required such precision.
Well, better to learn late than never at all, she reasoned.
She turned a corner leading into the library. As always, she was pleasantly overwhelmed by the stack of bookshelves adoring the 2 floors of the Manhattan Library. The wide lobby in front of her afforded the perfect view of thousands of books all in one place. A marvelous sight. She had precious time to waste, though, since she had to meet Trixie back at the hotel in under just 2 hours. So, as quickly as she could while marveling at the plethora of literature around her, she made her way to the aisle marked by a metal plaque, engraved with the letter D. Thanks to masterful organization skills of the library's desire, the books on dancing were found within seconds. Twilight restricted herself to 4 choices, due to time constraints, and spent a good 10 minutes making her selections. Once she had what she needed, she carried them up with her, up to the study area on 1 floor above. It was there, as she turned a corner around the bookshelf, she beheld the most peculiar sight, which she performed at a certain time. Certain azure-colored unicorn mare, sitting at one of the study tables with her nose in a book. "Trixie?" said Twilight, pleasantly surprised smile crept on her face. The show mare seemed to freeze, ever so slowly. She lifted her head to look at the rim of the book, and meet Twilight's eyes, her cheeks red. In curious silence, Twilight approached the table, scrutinizing the strangely familiar cover of the book Trixie held. Trixie herself made no effort to hide that cover, apparently already resigned that Twilight should see it. A filly's died to dancing. Twilight's smile became a wide smirk.
"Shut up, Sparkle," said Trixie, catching sight of it. "We're in the library."
"I'm not saying anything," said Twilight merrily, sitting down opposite her and opening her first textbook. She kept her word, and her smile, as he said about the afternoon study.